Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Right, hope you've all had a good week. A quick, small rant before I go any further. I'll keep this as short as I possibly can and as clean as I possibly can to everyone, and I mean everyone, who is still setting off fireworks. Please cease and desist. We've had enough. Our pets have had enough. November the 5th was nearly 2 weeks ago, you fucking morons. Why are you still setting these things off? It just makes me angry. Anybody out there that's got pets will completely empathise with this. My poor dog, our poor dog, has been under the stairs every single night for about the last 3 weeks, thanks to these things. We put up with it November the 5th because that's traditionally when it happens. We even expected it to start maybe a day or two before, but it started over a week ago, a week before. And we also expected, a couple of knobheads to still be setting them off a couple of days after. But it is now nearly 2 weeks after, and you fucking idiots are still setting them off. Please stop. We've all had enough. And anybody out there that's got pets will completely agree with me on this. As I said last week, I know you won't, because you are all thick as fuck, and you think it's perfectly okay to do this. Not only that, but obviously people have got work the next day and have to get up at an unholy hour of the morning, and they really don't want to be woken up by these things, or by their pets being distressed by them. So in the nicest possible way, please pack it in. We've had enough. Our pets have had enough. Put them away, for fuck's sake. I mean, the next thing we're going to have is the Christmas lights switch on in Burton, which may be today, so it may have already happened by the time you see this. That'll be the next one. And then obviously we'll have New Year's Eve, so that's going to start before Christmas and go well into the new year. So, give us all a break, yeah? You selfish, inconsiderate fucks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Calm. And on to the business of the day. I've got a couple more rants up here, but I'm going to save them for later on. I'll possibly even save one for next week. I'll see how I feel later on. So, as I say, morning to everybody. Hope you've had a good week. I'll start with comments, and I'll start with David. What is your favourite Jerry Anderson show? Well, first off, Guy answered this. Mine is a draw between Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet. Good choices. Dave Taylor, you answered Guy. I like a lot of his work. They had great theme tunes. They did, absolutely, especially Captain Scarlet. What a theme. If I was to stick my neck out, I would probably say Captain Scarlet. I vaguely remember Four Feather Falls too. It was a western with puppets. It freaked me out a bit, as I would have been under 9 years old when I saw it. They seemed to have really big heads. They did. I actually watched the first couple of episodes of Four Feather Falls on a box set that I got some years ago, and I watched them quite recently. I tell you what, it wasn't bad for the time that it was done. I'm guessing it must have been in the 50s. That must have been, I'm guessing, one of his very first sort of expeditions into this kind of thing. But the 2 episodes I saw, I really enjoyed. It didn't freak me out a lot, not as I remember anyway. Guy, you said, I've seen footage of Four Feather Falls. Yeah, there is something creepy about it. I'll have to have another look, see what I think. I don't remember anything creepy about it, but I wasn't watching it at like 7 or 8 years old. Probably I would have done. Sort of watching it now and looking at it and thinking, yeah, it probably would look a bit freaky to somebody of that age, so I totally get that. My personal favourite has got to be Thunderbirds. I've always loved Thunderbirds, and I've also got a soft spot for Fireball XL5, which I watched fairly recently. Just cracking stuff, just cracking space adventure. I just loved it, absolutely loved it. So I'd have to say Thunderbirds or Fireball XL5, but I did enjoy Captain Scarlet. I love Joe 90. Space 1999 is on another level altogether. Absolutely adored that. Yeah, that's the answer to that one, mate. Let's see. You've posed a couple more questions here, and wow, are they questions. What is your favourite network title? What is your favourite movie soundtrack? And if you could meet up with fellow YouTubers, who would it be and why? I'm going to put those on to next week, David, because the favourite network title, my God, I've got so many. I'm going to have to rifle through them and see if there's one that sticks out and say, yeah, that's my favourite. Favourite movie soundtrack. What I'll do next week is my top 5 movie soundtracks just for you. And the meeting up with fellow YouTubers, I'll give that some thought as well. I think I may have already answered this with Sam, I'm not sure. But I will be answering it again. So leave that with me, mate. I'm going to transfer those both over to all 3 questions over to next week. And I'll come back on all of those, I promise. So thanks for that, David. Always good to hear from you. Keep the questions coming, much appreciated. Roy. Morning, Roy. Hello, Tony, and good morning to everyone in the gang. At Christmas, I tend to watch films that were on when I was a kid during the festive period, such as The Wizard of Oz or The Dam Busters, and maybe a Bond chucked in. A Fools and Horses Christmas special or similar also. What happened to Christmas TV scheduling? Absolutely pants now. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this for a couple of weeks on the go now. It's just I don't even know why I bother buying the double issue of Radio or TV Times, because many years ago, and you'll remember this, and Jason definitely knows this, we used to get the Christmas double issue and we'd spend the best part of an hour or two just going through it, sort of circling things that we wanted to record and ticking things that we wanted to record, and we'd end up with like 20 or 30 different things that we wanted to watch, and then we'd have to stock up on videotapes. Yes, I'm going back that far. We'd have to stock up on videotapes to accommodate them all. Now I'll read through it, and if I can find 5 items that I definitely want to watch, I'll be doing well, I'll tell you now. It's just complete and utter rubbish. I would love to get, and I'm going to look into this, an old copy of, say, the Radio or TV Times. I've got one somewhere upstairs, and I think it's from 1976. I'm sure it is. And I'll have a go through that, and I'll if I can, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Because it was just full of stuff that you think, my God, where am I going to get? This was before VHS, 1976, but you know, when am I going to get the chance to watch all these? And that's what it was like. And now you come to the end of the double issue and you think, well, that was a waste of £4 or whatever it is. So yeah, totally agree. Christmas TV is just crap nowadays. It's just absolute rubbish. All the films we've seen before, all the specials are of comedy shows and stuff that we have no interest in. The only thing I will watch is probably EastEnders and Emmerdale, because I follow those anyway. But apart from that, and maybe if they do a ghost story for Christmas, I will watch that. I do like having Christmas carols from Westminster Abbey on a Christmas morning or Christmas Eve. But apart from that, it will be all, as you say, old movies and TV shows that we've got on DVD that we know we're going to enjoy. And that's how it is nowadays. So I totally get that. And you put, I will get together my Keaton stuff and put a photo or photos on the Facebook page. That would be very much appreciated, mate. I was telling you last week how the Chaplin journey is stalled, but I will be kickstarting it again. And I would also like to get into sort of Buster Keaton and a few of the other silent comics. And you happen to mention that you've got quite a bit of Keaton stuff, and I'd be very curious to see what you've got. I showed off I think it was 3 or 4 items that I've got, DVDs, and I'm guessing you've got quite a few more, so it might point me in the right direction of the ones that I haven't got. So yes, that would be very much appreciated, mate. Thanks for that, Roy, much appreciated. Good to hear from you. Stuart. Morning, Stu. Great video, Tony. I recently watched Late Night with the Devil, a new horror film from this year that got rave reviews. First of all, my wife said turn it off after 25 minutes. She thought it was boring. Me, I was so disappointed. I found it corny, comical, with no scares or suspense. I was so looking forward to it, with it being set in the 70s. Have you seen it, mate? Yes, I have. We watched it probably a couple of weeks ago. It was billed as being influenced by the BBC's Ghostwatch. The BBC's Ghostwatch was better than Late Night with the Devil by a country mile. I didn't really know what to make of it. It was interesting. I mean, it kept me hooked for the sort of hour and 30 something minutes that it was on. And I did enjoy it, but to compare it to something like Ghost Watch. No, not a good idea. I can understand how it was influenced by that, but to compare it to that is just like comparing night to day. I would say that I enjoyed it, but not as much as I thought I was going to. It all got a little bit freaky. At least with the BBC's Ghostwatch, it did fool a lot of the country into thinking that it was an actual live broadcast because it looked the part. This did up until laser beams started flying about the studio, and I thought, oh, here we go. We're going into stupid territory now. And that's when I kind of relaxed a bit and thought, yeah, let's just treat this for what it is. It's just a bit of a parody, isn't it? But yeah, I enjoyed it, but it was nowhere near as good as I thought it was going to be. Would I watch it again? Maybe in about 10 years if I accidentally bump into it while I'm channel hopping, but otherwise I won't be making any special effort to watch Late Night with the Devil again. But yeah, it was okay. That's about the best I can say about it. Okay. Talking of Bond, yeah, it's Roger Moore for me. Nobody does it better. Connery for me, as I think I've already said. I would say Roger Moore probably second, although I did enjoy George Lazenby's one and only outing as Bond on Her Majesty's Secret Service. That still stands, believe it or not, as my favourite Bond movie ever. I just love it. It's 60s, it's trippy, the soundtrack is amazing. I thought Lazenby was amazing, even though Jason pointed out to me last week that he was actually over 50 when he did that. So that caught me off guard. I didn't know that. I've never been a big Daniel Craig fan as regards Bond. I enjoy them, but they're a completely different animal to the Bonds that we remember, as in Connery, Moore, even Timothy Dalton, I suppose, as you mentioned next. Dalton was underrated. He was a tougher Bond. He absolutely was. And I get what they were trying to do when they gave him the role, especially with Licence to Kill, which I believe was the first ever Bond film to get a 15 certificate. And I think they had to cut it to get that, which to me made it all the more exciting. I couldn't wait to see Licence to Kill. The theme tune by Gladys Knight was absolutely stupendous. Loved it. So yeah, I get what they were trying to do with him, and it's a shame that he only did 2 movies, but 2 excellent movies. I think you'll agree. Give me your thoughts on the stuff I bought in the Criterion sale. What you got here? Tootsie, loved it, absolutely loved it. Saw it at Burton Odeon when it came out. The reveal right at the end, I have never heard an audience react the way the audience in the Odeon reacted that night. It was amazing, and I've loved that movie ever since. You watch it now, and with things as they are today, you do look at it and think, how did nobody spot that was a man? Michael Dorsey, oh god. But absolutely love the movie. It's one that I would love to see again. The wonderful Dabney Coleman was amazing. Jessica Lange was superb. Bill Murray, amazing as his roommate. Just a cracking comedy. Midnight Cowboy, stone cold classic. And I know I use that expression a lot, but it is absolutely brilliant. I've never got bored of it. I first watched it, it would have been late 70s, late one night. I think it was a Christmas film, when Christmas films were proper Christmas films. And I watched it not knowing anything about it and was absolutely blown away. Absolutely loved it, and I've loved it ever since. Right from the opening tune, Nielsen, what's it called? Beautiful South covered it, didn't they? Everybody's Talking at You, or something like that. Absolutely loved it. Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight, brilliant. Just an amazing movie, and the first X-rated movie in America to win Best Picture Oscar. That's quite an accolade. So yeah, classic. Breakfast Club, loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think it's the one. I don't think it's the one that kick-started the Brat Pack, but it was certainly the one that cemented them in everybody's mind. I think it's just amazing. It's a talky film. There's no action in it, but it's just superb, and it's down to the actors within it. Charlie Sheen, was it Charlie Sheen? Emilio Estevez, I think. Who else was in it? Molly Ringwald, Judd Nelson, can't remember the name of the other guys, but they're absolutely brilliant. Yeah, being there with Peter Sellers. I've not seen this one yet. I actually bought that, and I'm guessing mine is a Criterion as well because it's on Blu-ray. Bought it about 6 months ago because somebody at work recommended it to me. I was talking about Peter Sellers and the Clouseau films, the Pink Panther films, and somebody mentioned, "Have you ever seen him in a film called Being There?" And I said, "No, I've heard of it, and I know it did not very well at the box office, but apparently it's quite a serious film." He says, "It is, but it's really worth watching." So I grabbed a copy, but I've not watched it yet, so I can't comment on that one. But the other three, yeah, you can't go wrong with them. Your final comment, by the way, I know what to get you for Christmas: a Sam Smith 2025 calendar. With the greatest of respect, Mr. George, you can fuck right off with that. A Sam Smith calendar, my God. I can't think of anything worse than having that fat, overblown, arrogant git staring down at me every time I look at the wall. So let me try that again. With the greatest of respect, I politely decline your offer. But thank you anyway. It just goes to show you're thinking about me. Thanks for all that, Stuart. Much appreciated, mate. Any more questions, keep them coming. Much appreciated. Guy. Morning, Guy. Great vid as ever, matey boy. Not much of a comment this week as I just wanted to watch, be in the moment and bask in the warming glow of Tony time. Oh, I'm humbled. Instead of watching while making notes. That's how I did it with Higgis this week. I actually watched it and I was typing the notes up. I kept pausing it and typing the notes up, praying to God that the thing wouldn't crash. So that's how I do it. But I've got it on in the background as I'm still listening to it. So I get why you do it. But yeah, wanting to bask in the warming glow of Tony time. I think that's so sweet. Thank you. Get cracking on life on Mars already. Oh, we're getting serious now. Yes, we will, I promise. I would love to see you host a talk show. Tony interviews the firework producers of Great Britain. Well, I've pretty much done that, haven't I? Why are you such a bunch of cunts? I might email them and say that, just, ask them that question, because we need an answer to this, because I'm sick to death of the bleeding things. The Gallagher brothers. Oh, God. Bloody hell, you two are tossers and your music's shite. Wow. And finally, Sam Smith. For fuck's sake, what are you bloody playing at, you Bond-themed spoiling little shit? This Sam Smith is like a juggernaut. It is going to roll on and on. I am not done with this by a long shot. I need to read up on exactly what he's been saying and who it's aimed at before I go off on a proper rant. Because I really don't want to offend anyone. I really, really don't. But my views on Sam Smith are very, very, what's the word, loaded. I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't. But I will come back to that. The Sam Smith thing is by no means over. And you put, this needs to happen. It does absolutely. By the way, Hendrix, not your cat, the real Hendrix. I grabbed hold of an album on Spotify this week. Electric Landlady or something like that. Electric Landlady or something like that. Listen to the first few 4, 3, 2, 1. Listen to the first 3 or 4 tracks. Absolutely loved them. I've yet to finish it, but I will. But I quite surprised myself. And one of the tracks on that, I think, is All Along the Watchtower. Now, I've heard of this, but if you asked me to tell you how it goes, I wouldn't have had a clue. And I listened to the opening bars of that and thought, oh my God, that's every Vietnam War movie I've ever watched has got that. Now I know what it is. For some reason, I've got some completely different title in my head. But I'm by no means done with Hendrix either, but for a much more pleasant reason than Sam Sodding Smith. I don't even mention his name in the same sentence as Hendrix. But I've grabbed hold of a couple of items which I'm now waiting on, which I'll show off next week. I'm taking a bit of a deeper dive into Hendrix because basically the only little bits I've heard some really wild guitar playing, and I just remember thinking, what a racket! Why is this man such a legend? But after listening to the first few tracks of Electric Landlady, which I'm sure that's not the title, I will be taking a deeper dive into Mr. Hendrix's career, his life. So I've ordered a couple of items with that in mind, which I'll show off next week. So thanks for putting me onto that. Very much appreciated. And thanks for the comments, mate. Much appreciated. We'll come back to, hopefully come back to you next week. Mark. Morning, Captain. Morning, Mark. Well, the McPherson tape, originally released under the name Alien Abduction, Incident in Lake County, and still goes by that name in a lot of other countries. So maybe that's why a lot of other people haven't heard of it. It came out in 1998, 1 year before the Blair Witch Project, but, exclamation mark, it was a remake. The original title, or the original movie title, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was a remake. The original movie titled UFO Abduction came out in 1989. So which of these two different movies have you actually seen? I've seen them both, but I saw the remake first before the original. It's difficult to say. I've actually ordered a copy of this on Blu-ray from Amazon, which I'm waiting for to come through hopefully this week, which includes the original theatrical version and a director's cut. Now, I'm guessing, and I don't know this because I've not looked into it yet, you were saying that they are two different movies. What I think they are, is the same movie but in different versions. Downloaded one version of it yesterday and looked at the ending. The ending was completely different from the ending I remember, and I'm hoping that when I get this a Blu-ray through, that it will answer the question for me and for you. But my guess, and it is just a guess, is that what you've seen is the same movie but with a different ending. And I don't want to talk about the ending because for anybody that's not seen it, if it's the ending that I saw and I think that you saw, it makes your heart sink when it happens. It literally does. I do remember seeing it for the first time. I think Sky Movies screened it in its very early days. And obviously we'd never seen anything like that before because it was before Blair Witch. So the whole found footage thing hadn't actually started properly. But it was just so well done. I watched it in the dark at night. It was creepy as hell because it looks so real. Yes, it's all very well with hindsight. People saying now that it looks crap and it looks cheap. It's supposed to look cheap. It was filmed on a VHS camera by the looks of it, which is what it was supposed to be. They didn't have like digital cameras back in the late 80s, so the way it looks is the way I would imagine it was supposed to look. And that's what made it so good. It looks so authentic and so real. And there is a comment on the trailer that basically says it was made by a retired army person who basically said, "I am not entirely convinced that this is a fake. This could very well be real." Even though at the end you do get credits basically saying directed by, produced by, which kind of give the game away, which is what happened with Ghostwatch. If you watch that right the way through to the end, you got the actual credits which told you that it was a drama and not a live broadcast. And you get that with this version that I saw a little bit of yesterday, but I'm fairly sure in the version that we watched in the early 90s, I'm fairly sure there were no credits at the end. There was simply something that said, "If anyone has seen this family, please contact this number." And it ended just like that. So leave that with me, Mark. I'm going to come back to you on that. But that's my thoughts on it. But whether it's right or not is another matter. Threads was my never seen movie for last week. Oh, sorry, mate, it was. I've not seen one for this week yet, not at the time of filming this anyway. So looking forward to seeing what this week's is. Great video, mate. Same time next week. You bet. Absolutely. Thanks for all that, Mark. And I'll be coming back to you on the McPherson tape next week for sure. Sam's on a social media break at the moment. He'll be back hopefully in a couple of weeks to take part in all the Christmas nonsense that we'll have going on. So I've got a couple of comments. Now this one I'm going to rattle through quickly because I've got a funny feeling I read this out last week, but me being as organised as I am, I can't remember. So just bear with me on this. Superb video as ever, Tony, mate. Cheers. I watched the new film Heretic and it was very good. Pretty different to anything I've seen from a new release prior to this this year. Hugh Grant was superb. Not seen it yet, but I definitely want to watch it because I've heard nothing but good things. Even Kermode liked it, and he's notoriously hard to please with horror movies. Talking of Adam Sandler, I would recommend Uncut Gems. Brilliant tone. Also an underrated drama film, Reign Over Me, which is excellent. Uncut Gems I've meant to watch for ages. I reckon that his dramatic roles, and I didn't know he'd done any apart from Uncut Gems, his dramatic roles are probably my best entry point into the world of Adam Sandler, because I also watched the trailer for Reign Over Me and it looks truly amazing. So I've got something to show you on that a little bit later on actually. I definitely need to check out more Anthony Hopkins films, Tone. I will definitely be taking a look at Magic after your high praise of the movie. You won't go wrong with it. You will not be disappointed. Hopkins' performance in that is just superb. And Burgess Meredith, about 1,000 miles away from the Penguin, let's put it that way. And Anne-Margaret is superb as well. It's just a brilliant movie, and obviously directed by Richard Attenborough. Can't go wrong. I've only seen The Elephant Man the once, but it is absolutely fantastic. Brilliant acting from Hopkins and John Hurt. Superb movie. Again, I've not seen that one for quite a while, but I did see it when it first came out at the Odeon. Yeah, loved it. It was just superb, and in black and white as well. Robot Dreams is excellent, Tony. I really enjoyed it. A bittersweet animation film, a very beautiful film indeed. It has an awesome soundtrack and the animation style is gorgeous. What's your favourite animation films, Tone? I'm going to come back to that later on. God, I'm putting all these questions off. I've got one or two. I'm not big on animation, as you all know, but I have got a small handful that I do still enjoy watching. So I should really do a video, just a Q&A to clear all these questions up, but it gives me something to talk about next week. So leave that with me, mate. I will be coming back on that one next week, I promise. Tone, did you know that there's a Criterion 4K edition of the original 1932 version of Scarface? I did know that, but only because I watched Steve Mack, our Criterion guy. He did a video kind of review of it as an upcoming title, and I thought, you know what, I really wouldn't mind watching that. So that's definitely on my watch list. Let's see, the last time I saw the De Palma remake of Scarface, I was in Greece in 2017. Well overdue a rewatch. I've not seen that for ages. I do remember it being extremely violent, very sweary, typical De Palma. So yeah, I will be taking a look at that at some point, and obviously I've got the man behind me, so that will be really cool to see you do a VHS collection selection of video, Tone. What were some of the first VHS you remember owning? I'm coming back on that one as well. Sorry. What I'll do is I'll start a little VHS section. I'm going to dig some out, and I'll do a little section on sort of VHS tapes that I still have from years ago, which I'm sure you'll find interesting. I just bought a few VHS tapes recently, a couple of which are Witness and Magnolia, which is a superb sprawling piece, but not seen Witness, but heard great things about it. Magnolia, I've only seen it the once. It messed my brain up. I remember that. It was a long film. Tom Cruise is in it, isn't he? It's one that I wouldn't mind taking another look at if I can, you know, find a morning to devote to actually watching it. Witness is brilliant. Harrison Ford and Kelly McGillis, absolutely brilliant. Well worth a watch if you've not seen it before. Absolutely. Let's see. Thanks for the recommendations there, Tone. Keep up the amazing work as always, and hope you had a top weekend. I did indeed, and hopefully this one's going to be as good. So right, I'm going to take a very, very quick break. I'll be back in just a tick with another comment from Sam. Also a couple of other bits and pieces, so back in a sec. And we're back. Right, on with the comments. Let's see, this is Sam's comment from last week's video. No rush and no worries. Oh God, where's that come from? Sorry, something just popped up on screen and blacked out my notes. There we go. Sorry about that. No rush and no worries regarding checking out my recent content, mate. I had so much YouTube to catch up on as well of late. I do my best to keep up with them, but as you say, there are so many. We subscribe to quite a few. I've tended to keep it to sort of 5 or 6 that I watch as often as I can. But yeah, it is so difficult to keep up with it all. So I do get it, mate, honestly. I'm thinking of doing a 007 marathon in the new year. I just rewatched Skyfall recently and it's still really good. My favourite film in the Daniel Craig run. Daniel Craig, I would have to say Skyfall is probably my favourite actually. Yeah, Casino Royale was absolutely superb. What a debut for Bond. Let me just centralise myself. Shall I move? Is that better? I don't think it's any different. Let's see. Also, and this is going to take some doing, but I'm thinking about setting myself up a challenge of revisiting all the Disney animated classics in their chronological order in the new year as well. What are some of your favourite Disney classics, mate, either animated or live action? As I say, I don't really do animated that often, but if I had to pick animated movies, it would probably be the Disney ones. Favourite one? I do remember Mum taking me to see Robin Hood way back in 1973, that would have been. And I do still enjoy watching that one when I accidentally collide with it when I'm channel hopping on Disney Plus and all that sort of thing. So I would have to say, if I had to pick one, it would probably be Robin Hood, even though they all have their own merits. They are all absolutely brilliant. Some of the live action stuff is also worth a look if you've not seen those. Tony, I'm really looking forward to the Christmas season as well. Love to rewatch the likes of the Thunderbirds Christmas special. That's a classic. On the Buses, brilliant. Father Ted, never seen it. The Office US, never seen either one. The only bit of The Office I've ever seen is the UK one where he does the weird dance that everybody knows. It's been memed to death, I think. That's the only one I think I've ever seen. Didn't really have that much time for Ricky Gervais until I saw a series called Afterlife very recently. And I've kind of gained a new respect for him, especially with his stand against wokeness and stupidness. So yeah, I'm more into Ricky Gervais now than I ever was back then, and that's off to him for saying it like it is. There should be more people like that in the world. I wish I could be more like that. Peep Show, never seen it. What are some of your favourite Christmas specials of a TV series or sitcom? They're all old ones, mate, all old ones. I go along with you. I would say On the Buses, Nearest and Dearest. The Fools and Horses ones are usually good, but I always go for the ones from the 70s. I do believe Love Thy Neighbour did a couple of Christmas specials. Are you familiar with that one? Does that go back before your time? Love Thy Neighbour. It is about as politically incorrect as you could possibly get, which is why I love the fuck out of it. So, I'd be very curious to see whether you know that one and what you think of it. But all my Christmas TV specials are usually from the 70s and 80s because they're the ones I've got the fondest memories of. By the time this blog comes out, I would have potentially done an unboxing video on the 4K BFI set of Seven Samurai and checked out the 4K. Have you seen Seven Samurai and also the Magnificent Seven, which it's based on? I've seen the Magnificent Seven a handful of times. Love it, absolutely love it. It's one of the few westerns that I do really enjoy. Seven Samurai, I knew that Magnificent Seven was based upon that, but I can safely say that I've never seen it. It's been on my watch list for absolutely ever, but I've never really got round to seeing it. I understand it's quite a long film, which actually doesn't put it out of my reach at all. It just means that I've got to put a morning aside to actually watch it. But no, I've not seen The Seven Samurai. I definitely need to take a look at High Noon, which Roy kindly sent me. It looks and sounds fantastic. Keep up the awesome work as ever, Tone, and hope you have a great weekend, my friend. Thank you, Sam. Much appreciated. High Noon is definitely on the watch list. I've managed to get a copy, so I will be taking a look at that one for sure, and I will let you know what I think whenever. So thanks for that, Sam, and thanks for the questions. Keep the questions coming. JK, our Ginger Ninja. Morning, Jay. Wowzers, cracking video, Tony. Cheers, Jay. I get what you mean. I do try and find something good in all movies, as they are something that someone has put time and effort into. The level of effort is debatable, though, as is the quality. It's true. I could list off the absolute worst films, and they all involve sharks or mutated Easter bunnies. That's another question I need to come back onto. You asked me this last week, and it is still on the list here, so I will be coming back. Now you've mentioned those movies, as in sharks and mutated Easter bunnies, I think I know the road I'm going to go down with that. So leave that with me. I will be coming back to that one, I promise you. Very tempted to get the Blair Witch box set from Viavision along with Capricorn 1. I don't know whether it's going to be the same one that we've got. Shall I do this unboxing now? Do you want me to do it now? Just bear with me a second. Put my mug down. This is still in the cellophane. I had this. Now, Dave Lowe put pictures of this on last week, and it looked amazing. I'd been erring whether to actually order it, and as soon as I saw those pictures, I thought, I want it, and I ordered it. So I thought I'd do an unboxing as a separate thing, but while I've got you all here, I might as well do it now. So that's the box set we were all talking about, and I presume the one from Viavision is going to be the same. Just hold that a bit closer there if you want to freeze frame it and check out the special features. But just let me, cellophane's still on this, so bear with me. Take this off and let's see what we've actually got here. So there you go. Oh, you've got a sort of a card that clings to the back with all of your notes and stuff. And if you tip all this stuff out, I'll take, there's a little band around the, oh, do you know what? Does it really matter if I break the band? Does it heck? Done now. So what we've got here is a series of what look like art cards. We've got one, another one there, and that I believe is the poster, and also the sleeve, the artwork. This is a kind of a notebook, Heather D, all-weather backcountry notebook. All-weather paper keeps your notes clean. Maybe I won't see you read this, but karma needs no eye. Oh, I get it. This is a copy of presumably the diary of the lead lady in the film. Now that I'm going to be interested in reading, definitely. It looks like that. That's the back of it. This is the one that interested me as soon as I saw it on Dave's photographs. There's a hardback book. Now what is actually in this? Let's have a look. Or what is it exactly? Just bear with me. Contents. It's all to do with the making of the movie by the looks of it. Cast and crew. Real life is a horror movie. Heather Donahue and the Imperfect Woman. Paranoia and presence in the Blair Witch Project. So it's basically a paper, hardback book on the production of the movie, the actors. There's bits of script there. That's an awesome looking book to include with the movie, I've got to say. And then obviously you've got the actual movie and the discs, which look like that. And I'm guessing this is let's see, Blu-ray second sight. Disc 1 is the main features, and disc 2 is the special features. Reading the back of this. Oh no, I can't read the back of this. I'll read the back of this one then. So special features. Disc 1, a new second sight films restoration. You got the theatrical and the festival cut, whatever that is. Let's see. In disc 2, your special features. You got the Blair Witch documentary, a new feature-length second sight films production. That's going to be worth watching if it's feature-length as well. and obviously you've got all the other bits. I'll just hold that up, so if you want to know what's actually in it, that's just freeze frame that and I can tell you everything you need to know. So there you go, that's the unboxing of the Blair Witch Project. So has that tipped the balance for you, Jay? It did with me. You mentioned Capricorn 1 as well, that's definitely worth getting. Malcolm McDowell, I have heard that Time After Time is a great Malcolm McDowell film. Absolutely amazing. If you've not seen it, basically McDowell plays H.G. Wells, and in this film H.G. Wells has actually built the time machine that he wrote about in the book. It's set obviously in Victorian London. The Ripper murders are just happening, and basically, without giving too much away, Jack the Ripper turns out to be a colleague of his, and he escapes into the future in the time machine. The time machine then comes back to its point of origin, and H.G. Wells chases him into the future to catch him. It's amazing. It's absolutely brilliant. If you've not seen it, Jay, I can 150% recommend this movie to you. McDowell is brilliant. David Warner plays Jack the Ripper. I can't remember the name of his character. John somebody other. He's a doctor. But just brilliant. Mary Steenburgen plays the love interest. Well worth watching. 100% recommend this. 150% I think I said. So, but yeah, definitely grab a copy of this if you can get it over there, mate, because you will not regret it, I promise you. I haven't seen it in a very long time and I really don't remember a lot about it, but I really liked Malcolm McDowell in Star Trek Generations, Halloween, and of course A Clockwork Orange, plus many, many more. I haven't seen Generations for a long time. Halloween, he played Dr. Loomis, didn't he? Which was Donald Pleasance's role. And A Clockwork Orange, in my top 5 favourite movies of all time, always has been. Never been a huge fan of the Rocky films. I don't hate them. I like them for what they are, but would go for Rambo over Rocky. Due to them not being quite so violent, I would probably go for Rocky over Rambo, especially for the later editions. There was one that I was actually dreading watching, and I only just made it through it, which is the one where he goes back to the jungle. That was just violent beyond belief. But the original First Blood was absolutely superb. I do remember First Blood Part 2 being a little bit ridiculous. And Rambo 3 was just ludicrous. Entertaining ludicrous, if you know what I mean. Don't get me started on the Crow remake. There are reasons to remake movies, but this was handled so poorly, and I wanted to like it so much as I enjoy three of the 4 original Crow films. There's been 4 of them. I think Callie, our Callista, is in full agreement with you on this one. I haven't seen it. I've seen the original not too long back, which is why I don't really feel the need to watch a remake quite so soon. All I can see from the trailer is that they've made it more violent. I don't really see any difference in it, apart from the fact it'll have none of the charm of the original that Brandon Lee brought to it. So it's just one of those movies that I'm not in any hurry to take a look at, and I'm definitely not in any hurry to watch it now that you said that. So, Jupiter's Balls, that's a deep cut reference to Night of the Living Dead 1990. Not seen that one, but it's one that I do definitely want to take in at some point because I love the original. Oh yes, Little Nicky. How could I forget that one? Presumably that's Adam Sandler we're talking about now. So, tonight on Tones Movie, TV and Music Zone. Question time with the Gallaghers and Sam Smith. First question, what the fuck is wrong with you? Good question. Second question, how fucking stupid are you all, really? This is looking good to me. Third question, do you honestly think you are all that? It'll do for me. Final question, can you all sod off? Like really, sod off, Sam and co. Sod the fuck off. Pardon my harsh language, but I loathe the Gallagher brothers and Sam Smith. You hide it well. My God. Those questions are just perfect. And if I ever am unfortunate enough to run into these people and I get to ask them questions, those will be top of the list, Jay, I promise you. And funny you should say that. you said tonight on Tone's Movie, TV and Music Zone. I'm thinking of changing the title. It's a hell of a job typing that lot out on the YouTube thing. I want to make it shorter and punchier. I want to call it sort of Tone's Retro Movie Zone, something like catch up. Or any ideas, folks? Give us a put it in the comments or whatever for next week. If you've got any thoughts on what I should actually change it to. I think it just needs to be something a little bit shorter. Because I do want to talk about music and TV, but I think it's pretty much read that I'll be doing that anyway, so I don't need to put it in the title. But something nice and short, and I'll pick the suggestion that I feel is most appropriate. So thanks for all that, Jane. Much appreciated. You put take care, and I've still got your questions here, which I am coming back on. I know we just had your least favourite, but what's the 5 worst movies that you have ever watched? I mean, bad movies, crap acting, dodgy special effects, you know the ones. And what movies do you feel are completely overrated? Coming back to that, I promise you, mate. So thanks for that, Jane, much appreciated. Brilliant to hear from you as always. Keep the questions coming. Callie, morning, Callista, how are you? It's Tony time. Thanks for the shout out, hon. You are more than welcome. Yes, the mall is still there, and they even have a plaque honouring George Romero and the making of the film. My God, I would love to see pictures of what that looks like now, and I bet you any money it's not changed that much. I can imagine. I think it was also, like I said last week, I think it was also the location, because it looked like it was stuck out in the middle of nowhere. There was just something about it that just appealed to me. I don't know why. Right, that's The Devils added to my watch list. My work here is done. I think you'll enjoy it. I think I'm underestimating your ability to like certain movies. I think that's the nicest way to put it. I think you will enjoy The Devils. So when you've watched it, I'd be very curious to see what you actually make of it. Oh yes, Guy has told me to expect a telling off on this week's Higgis episode. That's because you hadn't seen... Can't remember, that was from last week, wasn't it? But I do remember saying that Guy won't be happy about that. I recently watched the I Spit on Your Grave remake. My thoughts are on last week's episode of Higgis, which I'll be coming back to later. Yeah, I'll come back to that a little later actually, because I've got all the notes here. Yes, son, seasons 1 to 14 of Supernatural are free on Prime. Season 15 is $19.99. Yeah, you made your thoughts perfectly clear on that one. On the video. Netflix did the same thing last year. Halloween 1 to 6 removed on October the 30th. Why? Just why? Because they know they're going to make money by people basically paying to watch them on Halloween night. It's crap, isn't it? It's such shit. Why do they do that? Question for the week. Do you have a favourite Christmas themed horror movie? Absolutely I do. I will now show you. I would say probably my top 5, but these are in no particular order. First one is a very obvious one. Gremlins. I know this is one of Mark's favourites because he's got this by the TV and it's been there for about 3 years apparently. I've seen both of these, absolutely love them. I loved the original Gremlins originally for one reason only. It's because I put it on one Christmas. My dad watched it. My dad is not into fantasy, horror or anything like that. He used to love his war films, his documentaries, his motor racing, that kind of thing. This is one of the few fantasy movies or non-fiction things that he actually watched and said, that actually wasn't bad, that wasn't bad. So I've got very fond memories of that, of watching that with my dad as opposed to watching something like Lawrence of Arabia or the Dam Busters or something like that. I thought of giving something different to watch, and this was the big film at the time, so that's the reason I love that one so much. Next one, Tales from the Crypt. Not exactly Christmas themed, but the first story in Tales from the Crypt involves Joan Collins murdering her husband on Christmas Eve, and a psychotic guy who's escaped from a lunatic asylum dressed as Santa Claus comes to the house where her and her little daughter are housed up in. It's just brilliant. That first story, it's the first 15 minutes. I never get bored of watching it. Even if I don't watch the whole film, I will always watch that particular segment once a year at least. And I think I will be watching the whole thing this year. But Tales from the Crypt from 1971 or two. Next one. This isn't strictly speaking a horror movie, but it was on every single Christmas without fail. I believe the first time it was on was about 1976. Me and Jason had a discussion about this one. I'm fairly sure it was 1976. So I'd have been about 14. The Wizard of Oz. You're not telling me that those flying monkeys are not the stuff of nightmares. They are pure nightmare fuel. So it's not really classed as a horror movie, but I do remember seeing those monkeys and thinking, even at 14 years old, thinking, Jesus, that's a bit creepy. So it's not a horror movie, but it's certainly quite horrifying in parts, let's say. Next one, Black Christmas. Now, this is the original from 1974. All I'll say about this is you never ever forget the first time you hear that voice on the phone. It is just as creepy as hell. A cracking movie. I think it's Margot Kidder in this one. Is it Margot Kidder? Yep. John Saxon, Olivia Hussey. It's just brilliant. It was the blueprint that all horror Christmas movies were based on, pretty much. So yeah, I enjoy Black Christmas. And finally, there was one of these on every single Christmas on the BBC. I mentioned these earlier, actually, regarding another person. Oh God, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow down, Tone. And that would be the Ghost Stories for Christmas. I watch these every year on the lead up to Christmas. Christmas Eve is always a warning to the curious, and Christmas night is always the Signal Man with Denham Elliott. These were just amazing. They were as creepy as hell back in the day. You know, they look a little bit tame now when you watch them, but back in the 70s, I always stayed up to watch A Ghost Story for Christmas. So yeah, I would say they are my favourite Christmas-themed horror things. So hope that answers your question, Callie. Great episode, honey. Looking forward to next week's one. Take care and have a great week. Much appreciated. Let's see, I've got some more of your notes underneath here that I've got to come back on. Higgis. Now then, I've got notes for Retrovember episode 1, but I've not typed them up on here for some stupid reason. I've not done it, so I will be coming back on that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to do a video of just, you know, me coming back on everybody's questions and bits and pieces that I was supposed to do it. But Retrovember part 2, I'm loving this, by the way, absolutely loving it. Subscribers to Prime cancelling subscriptions because Supernatural was removed. A little bit fickle, don't you think? A little bit over dramatic. There are many series on there that I do want to catch up on, but I can't imagine cancelling a subscription just because one of these series disappears. I do get the bit that they reinstated them all the following day, apart from season 15. It's going to take me long enough to get that far, so I'm not even going to worry about season 15. It'll probably be free by the time I get around to watching it. Noel's House Party Massacre. It's a great idea. I like the sound of that. It's kind of been done because they did the Banana Splits movie probably 4 or 5 years ago, which I read about way before it came out, thinking, my God, a Banana Splits, that's going to be amazing. Didn't realise it was going to be a horror movie, and apparently it's quite graphic. I have got it on Blu-ray upstairs. I've not had a chance to take a look at that one yet. And as for rewinding videos, I don't think I ever charged anybody for not rewinding a video. I didn't even charge people late fees unless I absolutely had to. The only time I ever did it was when the boss was there and he was watching me. That's the only time I ever charged late fees. Normally I'd just say, oh, don't worry about it, nobody will know. It's just not me. I always felt uncomfortable doing it. So yeah, no, I've certainly never charged anybody. It did used to wind me up because obviously you'd open the case after the guy. It's like, oh, bloody hell, stick it in the machine, rewind it, because obviously people complain about that. But I've certainly never charged anybody for doing that. Jason K's, Ginger Ninja's comments, you were talking about original VHS collections, Jay. You've got the original Dead trilogy. I remember Dawn of the Dead coming out on Alpha Video. I'm sure that was on Alpha Video because I remember the cover artwork. Is that the one you've got? I would love to see which ones you've got, Jay. Stick pictures on. We need to see these. You did put pictures on of the Star Wars ones, which I believe a friend of mine has got those original VHS tapes. Now, I don't know whether he's got just Star Wars or whether he's got all three of the original trilogy, but I'm fairly sure he has got Star Wars because I saw it once and I remember saying to it, hold on to it, don't get rid of it, that'll be worth a fortune in years to come. Let's see. Oh, you recommended a series called... Sorry, I've moved on to JK's comments, Callie. I do apologise. It's just that you were talking about his comments, so I'm going to do it as well. You recommended a series called From. A colleague of mine recommended that one to me, oh God, a few weeks back. I've not watched it yet, but now you've said what you've said about it, I'm tempted to take a look. So yeah, I'll be letting you know what I think of that. And your choice of retro films, by the way, amazing. Soylent Green. Now I've not seen that, but I know it's going to be good. The Black Hole, saw it years ago, loved it. Scanners, what a movie. Was that David Cronenberg? Was that Cronenberg's earliest? Yes, I think it was. Quatermass and the Pit. Told the story of that one the other week, but yeah, terrifying stuff at the time. And you mentioned a movie called Flying High. Now is a little piece of information for you, also known as Airplane. Now, I'll read this out. This is what I found out. In Australia and New Zealand, distributors in both... What am I doing? Distributors in both Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Japan and the Philippines, only in these territories, changed the title of the classic comedy from Airplane to Flying High because they thought it would potentially clash with the movie Airport 79 The Concorde, which although released in 1979 was then re-released the following year in 1980 around the same time as Airplane. How on earth could you confuse Airplane with something like Airport 80 The Concorde? I do remember seeing that one and it was quite ridiculous, but certainly not as ridiculous as Airplane. But that's why they changed the name from Airplane to Flying High. Instantly, as soon as I heard Flying High, I thought, I've never heard of that. And then I went on to, I think it was Wikipedia, and that told me everything I needed to know. So that's what happened there. And your choice of TV programmes, Survivors, the original or the remake? I remember the original, which I'll try and show off next week if I can. I've got that upstairs. The original was absolutely brilliant, absolutely superb. Terry Nation wrote it. It was just amazing. And I do agree with you, Callie, on the Police Academy movies. They were good up until number 4, which was, I think, was Citizens on Patrol. And then they just took a nosedive. I don't think I've seen anyone's after number 4 all the way through. I've seen bits of them, but as you say, I can imagine the one when they're in Russia would have been nothing but Cold War jokes, but way after the Cold War had ended. So yeah, I do get that. Let's see what you've been watching, Callie. You like like the sound of Two Broke Girls. It sounds punchy, it sounds sarcastic, it sounds like my kind of comedy, so I might just take a look at that. I Spit on Your Grave remake. You described it as nasty, brutal and horrible. I could throw in a few more words. The original was bad enough. I didn't think they could make it any worse than that. I've seen the remake once and don't ever want to see it again. I'd be curious to know what scene you were talking about when you said that you couldn't talk about it. Would this be the shotgun scene, or would this be the fish hooks? I'd be curious to know which one it was. Just private message me or put it in the comments. Nobody will care. I'm just curious to know which one it is. But I saw that film and it was just constantly like this. It's like, Christ almighty, this is fucking horrible. And it was just an awful... I don't ever want to watch it again. It falls into the same category as the original Last House on the Left for me, which was a vile, grim, grimy, horrible movie. And I think I Spit on Your Grave, the remake, is pretty much the same. And as for the 2 sequels, if that same thing happened to her twice more, there's something wrong. I've not watched the sequels, but if that same thing happens to her again, and then again, she's obviously doing something wrong. So I can't think of anything worse than watching those. So I don't think I'll be taking those in. Let's see, Guy, you were. I've never seen Arrow. I've got to confess, I've never ever watched Arrow. Um, right, I'm on 30 minutes, guys. I'm going to have to take another break. This could go up to an hour and a half if I keep going at this rate. I'll be back in a sec with more of Callie's comments, and then I've got Jason's and a few bits and pieces that I want to show off. So back in a sec. And we're back. Right, coming into the home stretch, I think, guys. I'm not going to keep this going any longer than I need to. I'm sure you've all got better things to do. Even though I know Jason loves the longer ones, so I think this will go on for about another probably 10-15 minutes, but we'll see how we go. So back to Callie, and the episode of Higgis, the second Retrovember, which I'm getting such a kick out of. I'm really enjoying this. You did some choices of retro TV. Let's see, Callie, you went for the X-Files. What a brilliant show. I didn't even know it existed until probably about a week or two after the first episode, and then somebody introduced me to it, and it was like, blimey, I need to watch this every week. Absolutely superb. The movie that Gillian Anderson did with Danny Dyer is called, let me get this right, Straight Heads, and apparently it's incredibly violent, pretty nasty. It's kind of along the lines of I Spit on Your Grave if I've read it right, but I'm going to be taking that one in at some point. I'd never heard of this one, but as you say, as I said the other week, Gillian Anderson has got an incredible body of work behind her, not just TV but movies as well, a lot of which I've never heard of. So I would like to catch up with some of her work. But the X-Files, brilliant. Your next choice was Some Mothers Do Heaven, classic comedy. And it's still funny now. I've seen a couple of episodes that have screened on Gold, and they are absolutely brilliant. They are still funny as hell all these years on. Next one was Batman, 1966. I've got the Blu-ray set upstairs. I'll dig it out sometime and show you. It is just amazing. Again, never gets boring. Camp, funny, colourful, brilliant. The Amazing Spider-Man. I wasn't sure which one you meant, and then I suddenly realised that you meant the one that I used to love watching in the 70s on TV. Spider-Man was played by Nicholas Hammond, who was one of the Von Trapp kids in The Sound of Music. I'm sure you already know that, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Just the way, as you say, he just used to do that, and then this net thing came out. Welcome to the 70s. So yeah, absolutely love that one. The Twilight Zone, possibly the greatest anthology sci-fi horror show ever in the history of television. The first season I have seen every episode multiple times and absolutely adore it. There is a Blu-ray box set of every episode, the original black and white ones, the Rod Serling ones, out at the moment for about £60, and I may just treat myself over Christmas to that. I've got seasons 1 and 2 upstairs, but I do want all the rest as well. But the Twilight Zone, what a programme. Favourite episode out of that, I would say the same one you mentioned with Burgess Meredith, the reader. What was it called? A Time... I can't remember the name of it. I also loved the one about Willoughby, the guy who went back in time to his childhood town. I need to get the titles of these. Leave it with me, I'll come back on that one. I think that is the most used phrase that I've gone for this week. I'll come back on that. I'm going to find time to come back on all these, but I will come back on that one. Your honourable mentions were the A-Team and Airwolf, neither of which I have seen. I know. But no, I haven't seen either of them, I'm afraid. Guy, you went for Grange Hill. Whoa, wow. I saw Grange Hill up until the demise of Gripper Stebson, who was just the most horrendous, horrible school bully ever in the history of TV. So that was where I saw it up to. Obviously, it was working years after that, and I didn't used to see it, obviously, because I was still at work. But I do remember those first 3 or 4 seasons, and it was absolutely brilliant. The adventure game, never seen it, so I'm not familiar with that. Thundercats, you weren't allowed this one, was you? I think Callie vetoed this one. So I've never seen it. I do remember we had a videotape in the shop that was selected episodes, if I remember right. Um, God, can you imagine that now? Bloody hell. With DVDs, at least you got a menu. You could skip to an episode. With VHS tapes, you had to fast forward and then stop it and play it and fast forward a bit more and then, oh God, now I've got to go back a bit. Nightmare. But no, I've not seen Thundercats. The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole. Yes, loved it. Absolutely loved it. It had a similar feel. I didn't realise this until you mentioned it, to the new Alan Carr series on ITVX called Changing Ends. Very, very similar kind of feel to it as that. So yeah, I do get that. Dear John, I've never seen it. I actually went onto Amazon to see how much the series was, because some of these old series, they go in for like sort of £7 for the entire series on a sort of 3 disc set or something. The lowest price I could find was about 70 quid, so that's obviously a real rarity, but I believe they're all available on YouTube, so I will be taking some of those in. Nightmare, another game show, not familiar with that one. Your honourable mention, Doctor Who, Day of the Daleks, my dad's finest hour. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that was a classic story, absolutely brilliant. I've not seen it for years. I do remember the scenes of the Daleks appearing in a tunnel somewhere. Basically, they've been transported from somewhere. It was just amazing, a really good story. Didn't they look like ghosts or something inside a house because they were from a different time? I need to dig that one out and take another look at it. In fact, I need to reignite that Doctor Who journey quick. But yeah, good choices, guys. I will talk about the first episode of Retrovember next week. I will transfer these notes that are in this little book here. They've been in there for a couple of weeks and transfer them, and I will talk about that one as well as the one coming on Wednesday, which I'm really looking forward to. I believe it's retro cartoons, so that's going to be an interesting one. I get the feeling that I'm not going to be familiar with a lot of them. I'm going to have heard of them, but I think a lot of the ones that you remember, I think I would go for very different ones, but I may just do that. And as for retro TV, what I'm going to do next week, I'm going to dig out my top 10 retro TV series, which could be interesting. So leave that with me. Thanks for that, guys. Much appreciated. Giving me plenty to talk about, as per usual. Jason Pete, morning Jay. Great vid as always. Watched it sooner today as we have another binge watch lined up. Indiana Jones. I think you had to put Dial of Destiny off till today, if I remember right, because it was too long. So let's see. And you also put a post on about the fact that you'd watched the first 4 and that you'd enjoyed Crystal Skull a lot more than you enjoyed it the last time, until the final 10 minutes. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting spin on the classic way that they end these things. So I enjoyed it, but a lot of people looked at it and thought, what an utterly ridiculous, ludicrous, stupid ending. I enjoyed it, but I'm glad to hear you enjoyed the whole thing better than you did. The last time I saw Crystal Skull was when I watched all 4 over the space of about, probably it would have been 4 weeks, because we watched them because Rob had not seen any of them. So I couldn't let that one go. So we watched them all, and we really enjoyed them. And I definitely enjoyed Crystal Skull, like you, a lot more this time round. So I totally get that one. Halloween movies. They will remove the Halloween movies because people will pay to watch them on Halloween night. They ain't daft. Well, fuck you, Prime, Netflix and others. I have physical media and it will always roll over streaming. Maybe not in 50 years' time, but I won't be around then. So there. You're absolutely right. If I hadn't been such a lazy twat, I'd have just gone upstairs and got or dug out the Blu-ray of Halloween, which I know I've got, and just put that on. But I was just being unbelievably lazy and thought, you know what, I'll just go onto Prime and get it from there. But it wasn't on there, and it wasn't on Netflix either. So, but yeah, good choices, guys. Thanks for that. 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 Thanks for that Yeah, it's just a cash cow to them. That's all it is, isn't it? Um, let's see. Sounds scary. That's why I won't waste my time on shite movies when I could just happily watch classic movies over and over again. Not sure what that's referring to. Is this something I was on about last week, um, or is it to do with the Red, which I watched last night? I'll share my thoughts on that one next week. The one about the zombie kangaroo. I never disappoint with these things, though. You've got to admit, my Bond list has now been updated since watching them, more or less back to back, and Casino Royale has shot up the list, and GoldenEye has dropped a bit. I need to do my list in order of all 26, which you did. I get the feeling again that mine is going to be very different from yours, but leave that with me. I'll come on to that. That's it for now. Keep up the good work, mate. Short and sweet. Thanks, Jay. Much appreciated, mate. You'll never seen it for this week was The Usual Suspects from 1995. The sole survivor of a peer shootout tells the story of how a notorious criminal influenced the events that began with 5 criminals meeting in a seemingly random police lineup. Well, I've avoided this for years. It just wasn't my thing. So about 5 years ago, I put it on and obviously wasn't in the mood to watch it, so it went off after 10 minutes. Fast forward 5 years to give it another go. Really enjoyed it this time, and despite it being out so long, I never knew who it was. Can you remember when the film came out and all the movie posters on bus stops and in the tube stations were defaced with an arrow pointing to the one's head and saying it was him? Film fans were furious. I think I would have been as well. How I have got through the last God knows how many years and not heard at some point who this person is, I don't know, but this is one that I need to drag to the top of my watch list before somebody does spoil it for me, and they will do it. So yeah, leave that with me. I'm going to be taking that one in very soon. But I'm glad you enjoyed it a lot more than you did the last time, right? So thanks for that, Jay. Much appreciated, mate. It was brilliant to hear from you, and I think that's covered pretty much everything, apart from all the bits and pieces that I need to come back on, which will probably make up a whole video on its own. So I've got a few bits here to show off that I've purchased this week, and then I'm going to call it a day. I'll start with the magazines. Let's see. This is from Dark Side magazines. This is a special that they do. I got 2. I think it was a £9.99 each. Hammer Horrors. And this is exactly what you would expect it to be. Very, very colourful. I've not even opened these yet. This is the first time I've seen them. They only arrived yesterday, but you've got pretty much, by the looks of it, every single Hammer horror movie reviewed and talked about. That's one. And I got this one, License to Thrill Spy-Fi Special. And in here you've got the man and girl from Uncle Danger Man, Bond Girls, The Avengers, Matt Helm, Our Man Flint. Again, this is going to be pretty much a who's who of TV and I think mostly TV spies. You know, movie spy thrown in, but that looks a cracking read. So I'm going to be getting into that, and also the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, which drew me straight away because Planet of the Spiders, Tommy talks to Doctor Who Monthly, Blake 7, how they came close to battling the Daleks. That will be interesting. Hello Dad, The Secrets of the Doctor's Daughter, Tom Baker's Scariest Stories Ever. Can't wait to get into that. And some Blu-rays and DVDs I've got here. I listened to a podcast about this movie last week and thought, do you know what? I've never actually seen that, not all the way through anyway. So I grabbed the Blu-ray, The Curse of the Werewolf, starring Oliver Reed, which I believe was one of his very, very early movies. What drew me to this was one of the special features called, there's one called The Making of the Curse of the Werewolf, Censoring the Werewolf, a new 13-minute documentary, I've heard that there's a lot of footage that was cut out of this when it was first released. Whether it was to do with the violence or the sexuality, I don't know, but I was very, very interested. And as soon as I saw Censoring the Werewolf, I thought, I know it's 13 quid, but I want it, so that's going to be viewed very shortly. This one was recommended to me by a colleague at work, Rob Gear, who loves his animated movies, and I said, I'm not really an animated movie kind of person, but he said you would love this particular movie, so I've took him up on it. Big Hero 6. I know very little about this, apart from the fact I believe it won the best animated feature at the Oscars for whatever year it was released. And I think this was about £1.60, so I thought, you know what, rather than track it down on Disney Plus or whatever, I might as well just grab a copy. So if I don't like it, it'll go straight to the charity shop. So thanks for the recommendation on that one, Rob. I shall let you know what I think of that. This one, Sam will love this one. This is one that he recommended to me, and I said it will be a very good entry point into the movies of Adam Sandler, mostly the serious ones. Reign Over Me. I understand this is about a guy who loses his entire family in the 9/11. You wouldn't really call it a disaster, would you? 9/11, anyway. And I watched the trailer to this and thought, you know what, that looks absolutely amazing. And Adam Sandler can act, apart from doing like Little Nicky and Happy Gilmore and all this sort of thing, which I do want to take in. But I'm definitely up for this one, so I shall let you know what I think of this, Sam, when I've watched it. And Guy, I'd say you'll be proud of me for this, but the first thing you're going to say is, yeah, but you're not going to watch them. But it's just my way of saying I do listen to you. The first season of Quantum Leap. All these series that you're recommending me from sort of the 80s and the 90s and this, that and the other, I do want to watch them, but I'm not keen on buying like a 60-70 quid box set when I can just get the first season for like 5 or 6 quid, watch it, and then if I like it I can move on to season 2, 3, 4, or even buy the massive set and just give this one away. So that's the first one I've got. And the other one, Callie, I think you mentioned this one earlier, Airwolf season 1. Again, know nothing about it. Jan Michael Vincent, Ernest Borgnine. How could you possibly go wrong with that? And it's a 12 certificate, so it's not going to be kids stuff, is it? But looking forward to getting into all of these, and I swear I will be getting into them. These are not ones that are going to sit by the TV for 3 years or 4 years and then it's like I've still not watched them. I will be getting into these. Whether it's going to be one series at a time, I don't know, or whether I'm going to devote sort of one weekend morning a week to watching sort of series, I don't know, but we'll see how we go. But Airwolf, can't wait to get into that one. So that is it, guys. That's all I've got for this week. All those questions I will be coming back to over the coming weeks. I will next week be doing my top 10 retro TV shows as per Higgis. I'm looking forward to seeing the choices you make for animated shows this week, and then if I've got any, I'm fairly sure that I must have some upstairs that I can show off. I'm fairly certain of that. I know I've got one called we'll come on to that. So, right, have a brilliant week, folks. Thanks ever so much for joining me, for listening to me rambling on for the last nearly hour and 20 minutes now. Have a brilliant week, and I will be back to you again at the same time next week with probably more of the same, and hopefully a lot of your questions from this week and the previous weeks answered as well. So have an amazing week, folks. Thanks ever so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that, and I will talk to you all again about the same time next week. Take care. Ta-da.